I want to move us on right now to the next team. They're from Malaysia and Singapore. Two of those two places are special to me. When I was just beginning to teach in Asia, I arranged to do a trip to several countries. Malaysia and Singapore were the first two. I wanted to go to Singapore to visit a colleague, a Scrum colleague named Bas Voda, who was the guy who really brought me into the fold of Scrum trainers. And I wanted to visit him and spend some time with him. And this was my first time in both Malaysia and Singapore. My biggest problem is that I like food a lot. And so this could easily have been my death because the food in Malaysia was terrific. The food in Singapore was spectacular.
Hello everyone, I'm Dylan, representing Agile community from Malaysia. Get to know Agile and Scrum from my former superior, ex-Microsoft guy, 4 years ago. Student of Eton Su, certified in PSP01 and Scrum Scale. Currently a business transformation coach and a trainer. Audrey and Shazana are both Agile coaches from local Malaysian company.
Hello everyone, my name is Adrian. I'm deeply honored and humbled to be part of the Singapore and Malaysia team for this event. I have a total of 7 years experience working in Agile domain, ranges from startups to multinational companies across different industries. I'm looking forward to connecting with you. Without further ado, let us enjoy the rest of the video.
Okay, very good. I have some questions already from Malaysia. First one is,
Sorry to
say that
interrupt
again.
Sorry to interrupt you, Jeff. I think you could let the Malaysian try to ask their questions, see how they're doing it.
Okay.
Yep. All right.
The first question that they sent me, most of the time, the Scrum Master is also the team lead or team manager. The Scrum Master can consciously or unconsciously micromanage the team to the deliver backlog. And frankly, if the team members go against the Scrum Master, their appraisal probably will be affected, since the Scrum Master is also their actual reporting manager. How would you deal with this challenge? Well, we dealt with it with the first Scrum team. The Scrum Master is not the reporting manager, right? You don't want that. So because of this is the problem that it generates. So one of my whole goals in creating Scrum was I realized that people would try to please the manager and they would upset the customer and not deliver because they were trying to please the manager. So I had to get the team focused on the customer. And it's better to not to have performance appraisals at all, but in the early days, it was corporate policy. So we changed the performance appraisals. We said, the only way you can get a good performance appraisal is the customers say you're really great. It doesn't matter what the manager says about you. And that changed everything, because all of a sudden now the team wanted to deliver a great product, okay? So people are motivated by where they're going to get value and approval, right? And what we found, getting value and approval from a manager, the studies of performance appraisals show that 70% on the average of every appraisal is about the manager, not about the person, because the manager doesn't even know that much about the person. So the team member is trying to get the manager to write a good appraisal, but the manager doesn't even understand what they're doing and they're really writing about themselves, okay? It makes no sense. And when you do things that make no sense, you create bad products and bad customer experience. So there's going to be any appraisal, it needs to be the review of the product. And in fact, in the very first Scrum team, I said, your appraisal for the team and the product owner will be written in computer world. You are going to ship the product, and computer world, PC magazine, they are going to evaluate the quality of your product. And that is going to be your performance appraisal. What do you think the team did? They produced the best product that computer world had ever seen in that space. And they all got 10s on the performance appraisal, right? That's what you want. The other next question was, our local cultural context of respecting hierarchy, keeping things in harmony, and Malaysia is one of the highest power distance countries. We may not be so open in sharing our thoughts and thought process and discussion. Some of us prefer just to follow the flow rather than having something to say. And in many situations, the system doesn't allow to say you what you think. So this is a challenge everywhere. And I think in India, it's very similar to Malaysia, but we have cracked this problem in India. We have great Scrum teams in India. And those great Scrum teams, they tell you exactly what's wrong every day and that we need to fix it. So we know it's possible. But what people need to learn is, maybe in Malaysia, there's a gentler way to handle this, but people need to learn, if they're going to produce great products and great customer experiences, they really need to talk about whether the customer is happy or not. And when the customer's not happy, they really didn't talk about why. Well, why aren't they happy? And then they need to surface all the impediments and remove them. And today, what's happening is the business is moving to where the best teams are. Okay, so in India, we have the challenge. When I talk to the Indian teams, which I do quite a lot, I say, you know, to be a great team in India, you need to have an open discussion about what's wrong and how to fix it constantly. And if you don't do that, then you're not going to be a great team. And there are other teams in India that are great, and people are going to go work with the great teams, and they're not going to work with the teams that are slow, right? So no matter what your culture is, there is a reality that if you're building products or services, customers want to be happy, even in Malaysia. And if they're not happy with your team, they're going to go somewhere else to get it, right? Even in Malaysia, they're going to go to China, or they're going to go to Vietnam, or they're going to go somewhere else if they're not happy. So we have to figure out a way, and I'm sure in Malaysia, just as in Thailand, we do a lot of work in Thailand, okay? The Thais are very gentle people, but they're figuring out a way to have a lot of fun doing Scrum, right? And really making better experiences for their end users and customers. Do we have any more time, Alan? We got a little more time?
Couple more minutes, I think.
Yes,
Because
Jeff.
the last,
We have 3 minutes for Malaysia and Singapore.
the last question on the list for Malaysia and Singapore, usually it's stakeholders never join in this kind of sharing and are not able to see the value of Scrum and Agile, either in a startup or in a very big global company. Gradually, this is more like something ideal and not realistic. Scrum is not realistic. Okay, so Scrum, at least in the Agile Education program, is designed to deliver twice the work in half the time. So you just say to the stakeholders, okay, we can give you 4 stories this sprint doing the Scrum way, or we can give you 1 story doing the old way. Which would you prefer? And if they say, well, we don't like the Scrum thing, you give them 1 story. If they say they want 4 stories that you do Scrum, you better give them 4 stories or they're not going to be happy, right? They're not going to believe, if the stakeholders are complaining about Scrum, it means the Scrum teams are not delivering in a way that shows that it's different. And so the stakeholders' view would be, why should we support Scrum if it's not any better than the old way? And the old way is what we know, so we don't want anything new. So you have to demonstrate, you have to earn the respect of the stakeholders. And a great Scrum team will blow the stakeholders away in a sprint review. They won't believe it's possible what was delivered. And those teams have no problem with the stakeholders. Okay, so it's really, I think that's the answer to that question. So those are the 3 that you gave me for Malaysia and Singapore.